The Utah Utes versus UCLA Bruins, 8 p.m. Pacific, August 30th, in the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. This used to be a Pac-12 versus Pac-12 game, and now it is a Big 12 versus Big 10 game. The last time we saw UCLA play Utah, it was a whole new coach, whole new quarterback, and things have changed. We got DeShaun Foster on one sideline, the tent pole, Mr. Kyle Whittingham on the other, and we got to talk about it and break the whole thing down. Utah is favored in this game by almost a touchdown, by 6 points. But the question is, who will win and how will it happen? I got the answer for you. I'm George Wrighster, former NFL player, former college football player, current college football analyst for CW, and here on the George Wrighster College Football Show, aka Unafraid Show. Make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about the show. But we are going to start where we always start with these previews: coach versus coach. I want to welcome you to the Competitive Advantage Olympics, where both Kyle Whittingham and DeShaun Foster are out here competing for the gold. After years, many years of keeping injuries under wraps, you got Kyle Whittingham. He finally got what he says that he wanted: an NFL-style injury report for the Big 12 in terms of conference play. So how does he respond to that new rule going through? He goes away with depth charts. And I remember asking him about this in my interview with him, and he said, if I don't have to provide you with a injury report, why would I do it? It's a competitive advantage. DeShaun Foster believes in the same thing, so we are going to see who does it better. Now, DeShaun Foster, though, he has cracked down on interviews and photography of practice, saying that if he wanted an opposing coach, all he wants to do is consume UCLA media to figure out what to do to stop the Bruins, because he says that the media has been putting out plays that they shouldn't, access to players and all of that. And he's like, no mas. The media is absolutely furious, as anyone would be, because you're trying to report on a team. And DeShaun, he don't care. And he says the attention will come if UCLA wins. Now, on one hand, he is 100% right. But on the other hand, you do have a relationship with the media if you want not only favorable attention, but you want attention, because attention helps recruiting. Now, the question is, which one of these chess moves is going to prove more valuable when the Utes and the Bruins face off on week 1 of college football? Now, another interesting point about this coaching matchup is that Kyle Whittingham and DeShaun Foster are on the opposite sides of their careers, where you have Whittingham, who is waiting on a more magical run with the Utes to call it quits, and then hand the reins over to their defensive coordinator, Morgan Scalley. While you have DeShaun Foster, he's still establishing himself in the wake of Chip Kelly stepping down to call offensive plays over at Ohio State, and now with the Las Vegas Raiders. Kyle Whittingham, he is a vet, and he's a guy that coaches look up to and really want to model their programs after. He could really teach a master class on culture and on roster building and development. While on the other hand, for UCLA, DeShaun Foster is still proving his model out, because you have some positive early returns with UCLA in terms of how they finished 2024 and their recruiting classes and the type of kids that they've been able to get in the transfer portal. But now we got to go quarterback for quarterback, because both of these are transfer quarterbacks, and one of them transferred in January, the other one transferred after spring ball was over. So on the Utah side, you have Devin Dampier, because he didn't get the offers that he thought he deserved coming out of high school after winning a state championship as a junior, and then following that up with 1,200 yards rushing as a dual threat quarterback as a senior. Now, he watched other schools in his area send shorter guys to higher profile schools, because that's the thing that was supposed to be the knock on him. You had Mikey King go to UCF. You had Damon Williams go to Washington. But Dampier took an offer from New Mexico. And by the end of his sophomore year, he had already duplicated what he did in high school with another 1,200-yard rushing season. In the passing game, though, he still has a lot to prove. But as an athlete, he is a pain in the ass to stop with the ball in his hands, because he's dynamic. and his offensive coordinator joined him in leaving New Mexico for Utah. So Dampier is going to have some continuity there and accustomed to dealing with his offensive coordinator than pretty much any transfer in the country, because he is ready to hit the ground running. And there is a pun intended there. Now, I got a chance to see Dampier in practice when I went to go over and interview Kyle Whittingham, which interview is on the Unafraid Show per the usual. So make sure you go and check that out. Not during this video, but after this video. And he was passing the ball very well. The offense looks smooth, and it's an exciting time in Utah. Now, they just want to keep him healthy, because that's not what they've had out of their starting quarterback for the last couple of seasons. Now, on the UCLA side, big name brand here transfer, Nico Iamaleava. And he created a massive firestorm when he hit the transfer portal after spring ball and after leading the Tennessee Vols to a college football playoff spot last year. And Iamaleava, kid I've known for a long time, he's back home. He's a California kid. He's got money in his pocket, and he has valuable experience in the SEC and playing in significant big games last year. And he still has the same athletic gifts that he has always had, a cannon for an arm that he has always had. There's not a lot of expectation at UCLA. You would wonder, you'd be like, okay, can he thrive under the pressure? But this is a low pressure environment on some level, even though the competition is extremely high, just as high as it was in the SEC. He is going to have some pressure because he knows the entire SEC conference, all of Vol Nation is preying on his family's downfall. And he's the poster boy for all that's wrong in college football, even though that couldn't be further from the truth. If he lets that get to him, it could be a long season. And my biggest question is has he had enough time to master the playbook? There's a difference in knowing the playbook and mastering the playbook without spring ball practice. So we'll see. And truthfully, Iamaleava, he just needs to go out there and play ball, because unlike Dampier, the doubt is new. It's really new to Nico, because Dampier, he's been able to use that to fuel potential greatness, and that could be exciting. Now let's get into Utah's offense versus UCLA's defense. UCLA, they sent a bunch of linebackers to the NFL, but that doesn't mean that the cupboard is bare, because you got John Bonds and Jalen Woods that have been waiting 4 years since being St. John Bosco teammates for another chance to start together on defense. And then you got Ben Perry, who transferred in from Louisville, knowing exactly what this defense does to showcase its backers, because they've been putting them in the league at a very high level. But the question is, can they handle an offense that is coached by Jason Back, that produced almost 6,000 yards at New Mexico last year in only 12 games? Because that's going to be tough to stop. One issue at New Mexico, though, it was turnovers. And it might have been talent, or always having to keep up with a defense that was allowing almost 40 points per game. But the Lobos, they gave the ball away 31 times last year. That's almost 3 a game. And Utah fans, they are not going to put up with even the half of that. Hell, the head coach, Kyle Whittingham, ain't going to be happy or pleased with all of them type of turnovers, because they play a defense that is fueled off of turnovers, so they know how valuable keeping and protecting the football is. And the offense for Utah, honestly, it shouldn't even need to be helter-skelter with guys like Caleb Lomu and Spencer Fanu blocking up front, because those are 2 potential first-round picks. Now let's look at UCLA's offense versus Utah's defense, because last year Utah's season was humming along. Things were going great. And then the University of Arizona must have had something on film, because they started attacking the Utah defense in terms of the run game. And then every team after that, they followed suit. Even TCU, who is known to just, and Sonny Dykes, who wants to just pitch the ball all over the place, they ran the ball 33 times against Utah. And Colorado scored 3 of its 11 non-rushing quarterback touchdowns against the Utes last year. So you'd have to figure that Utah spent literally all this offseason planning to do the same thing and test their chin straps. But UCLA had a historically bad rushing offense last year in 2024. 8 Big Ten players, 8 had more yards than UCLA did as an entire team. Purdue, it was one of the worst teams in the country, and UCLA would have killed for their rushing stats. That's how bad it was. And I don't believe it was just UCLA's backs. I believe it was their offensive line, which they have tried to upgrade this offseason. And I can pretty much guarantee that UCLA spent all offseason figuring out how to shore up their running game, because their head coach is a former running back, and he knows running backs are only as good as the people blocking up front in front of them. And Utah, they spent the same exact time this offseason trying to figure out how to stop the run, because they don't get run on historically like that. But Utah is going to be trying to hold this defense down and put together a great defense with last year's personnel coming up through that patented Utah Utes development system, while UCLA brought in 3 offensive linemen and 2 running backs in the transfer portal. Now, this is a matchup that I am excited about, and I can't even tell you how fun it is, because I know this kid as well, is UCLA's wide receiver Quasi Gilmer. Matching up against Utah corner Blake Cotton or Elijah Davis. Oh, that is going to be tough, because Utah's corners are long and they play a physical brand of football. But I do believe we have a special wide receiver in Quasi, and he could turn out to be UCLA's best offensive weapon outside of quarterback. Now, the question is the X factor in this game. And as much as I'd like to say the home crowd is going to factor here, as a UCLA season ticket holder, because my wife went there, it is going to take some winning before the fans play a role in what happens at the Rose Bowl. I'm just telling you, it is quiet as a church mouse in there right now. And Utah, they used to struggle to win in Cali. But right now, before the Pac-12 died, the Utes were starting to run LA, whether it was at UCLA or UCLA. The ultimate X factor here is the quarterback position, because you have a former 5-star millionaire in his homecoming game trying to show the SEC conference that he doesn't need their big stage to be a star, up against the kid that literally ran his way to the big stage for the opportunity to play against all the coaches that passed him up on the opportunity to recruit him out of high school. Now on to the predictions, because UCLA is a 6-point underdog at home. And the question is, quarterback for quarterback, who do I trust? Now, quarterback for quarterback, I trust Nico more. However, this Utah offensive line is going to test the chin straps and test to see what UCLA is all about. If UCLA can stop the run, Utah has no chance to win this football game. But if they cannot stop the run, this is going to be a coverage of that 6 points by Utah. They will cover the 6 points, but I am going to go out on a limb here and say that UCLA has the ability to run the ball and play action against Utah and come up with a late game squeak out. So I'm going to take UCLA +6 at home versus Utah. And I'm George Wrighster. Make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show, and most importantly, be one of us.